Good morning. How you guys doing? Was it easy to get on today? It was a little bit different process of getting on. Simple or not
Simple.
bad? Yeah, everybody has their link or whatever that they have to sign in for. So Mariah said easy. I love it.
Is there a way to add it to your calendar, like the
That,
link,
well, that
or
is your
is it?
link now. So if you just take that link and just edit your calendar and put that in. So
Got it.
yeah, once you get your link, it's your link. That is your.
Okay, cool.
So should be able to add that in, make it simple. All right. So let's do this. Let's get started with some gratitude this morning. What are you grateful for? What happened over the weekend, or what happened last week? What is causing you to be grateful this morning?
I'm grateful for understanding sellers.
Okay.
I'm dually licensed Idaho and Washington. The Washington market is like crickets. And so we got an offer on a place that's been listed for a few months. We've only had like two showings. And so he's like, "Hey, I get it. This market's slow." And he's understanding. And he's like, "Let's just get it under contract," because he's buying a house that's contingent. And so to get two pending with understanding people is super awesome.
Dude, that's awesome, man. By the way, that's like a skill, right? It's like, yeah, I think you have to work with people and work a few transactions before you can
Yeah.
operate like that. So that's awesome, dude. Well played, my friend. Who else? What are you grateful for this morning?
I'm grateful for time spent this weekend in Utah with some extended family. And Anna went to her first hockey game, and it was just the cutest thing in the world to see her just dancing to the music and cheering for a team. And so excited for so many sports events in the future.
Okay. What sports is she in right now? Just one
She's not
sport?
into any sport. Like we went to a Utah Grizzlies. It's like a not even the NHL game, but it was like
Yeah.
a second league.
So
So yeah,
none of them are standing out to her yet as something that
she
she wants
loved
to do.
hockey. She loved
Really?
watching it. She
Awesome.
loved cheering, and she loved the goal, and it got really loud, and she was hyped.
Sweet. I think anybody can love hockey. It's one of the most exciting sports to watch, like in person. So it's fast paced. It's exciting. Cool. That's awesome. All right. Anybody else have a burning desire to share who or what you're grateful for this morning?
I'm grateful for my old digital alarm clock that got me out of bed because I turned my phone alarm clock off, but I over the weekend I started setting my digital alarm clock across the room
Okay.
to get my ass out of bed. And today was the first day that I had to use it, and it worked. So
Did it? Okay. So what caused you to want to do that?
there were a couple times where I was just hitting snooze, and when I hit snooze, I'm always more tired in like getting into the day than I am when I am just out of bed on the first try, or first or second try. And so it's just a fail safe, like one, they say one is none and two is one or something like that. And it's just like I have to have a backup plan if my first one doesn't work.
Nice. There is interesting like psychology around snoozing, right? Like if you set your alarm clock across the room and you just get up, you're starting your day honoring commitments to yourself. Whereas if you get in habit of snoozing, by the way, nothing against snoozers. I know there's snoozers out there, but when you snooze, you're basically saying, the commitments I make to myself aren't as important. It's really easy to do that when your willpower is low in the morning. So what can you do in the morning? David has a great example to bypass that low willpower, right? That because your bed is so warm in the morning and you just want to stay a couple more minutes. How do you get yourself out? So that's awesome. It's funny because we're as a team, and actually I was gonna talk to you guys about this. We're reading a book this month called The Miracle Morning, and that's one thing he talks about in the Miracle Morning, and I think Atomic Habits mentions it, but like how you can strategically find a way to get out of bed. And so placing your clock away from you. I think I can't remember if it's Miracle Morning or Atomic Habits, one of them says he put a plan together to get up and immediately brush his teeth. It was the first thing he did because once you brush your teeth, like you're awake, you can't go back to bed. So what little hack can you do to bypass that willpower, that low willpower that you have in the morning? So thanks for sharing, David. That's awesome. Sweet. Hold on, guys. We're having some technical difficulties getting some people in. So let's see. Hey, Aaron, there's some people that are saying they're having issues getting in. Can you walk them through getting in, please? Sweet. All right. So on Friday, we talked a little bit, and I don't want to do too much of a recap, but I do want to recap a little bit about what happened or what we talked about on Friday, which was the clarity curve. So we talked about, that yearn phase, chemistry high, clarity low. We talked about the earn phase, which is honestly where we end up most of the time in real estate, is in the earn phase. And then there's the enduring phase, which is like Kyle, where you're getting the dopamine kicks every day, all day, because business is flowing. So what were some takeaways that you guys had from that, thinking through and talking through the clarity curve and the earn phase and resetting back to the earn phase when you're bored? Who had some takeaways or some thoughts around that? Give me one person, and then we'll move on if the discussion fizzles.
I think it's really important to make sure you know how your brain chemistry works and how you can devise plans to increase it or give it those dopamine spikes.
Yeah. It's super interesting that you said that. Guys, this is the power of models, right? Models allow you to visualize and understand processes. And the clarity curve is a model that helps you understand where you're currently at and what to do about it. Meaning, if you know that you're in the earn phase, you probably shouldn't go get creative. You probably shouldn't start something new. You should probably say, what are the basics that I should be doing? And just go back to that and stick to it. And then, like you said, David, like understanding your chemistry, gamify it, add some purpose behind it, figure out what it is you're doing this thing for, and leverage that in those times of being in the dip. So awesome. Great feedback, dude. Anybody else have a burning desire to share? All right. I'm going to jump into something today. We've talked about this plenty of times on this call, but I don't think it ever hurts to continually revisit this. And it's because things are constantly shifting and changing. So, anybody notice that there's some market volatility going on right now? And not only is there market volatility, but if you get on social media, it's like all anybody's talking about the conflict that's currently happening in Iran and the markets shutting off in the Middle East, the trading markets, and then the volatility around oil. Everybody hearing that? Yeah. So now those are all realities. Yes? Those are all things that are actually happening. Here's the challenge, though, when you hear those things, how you choose to interpret and react to those things actually matter. They actually can be the difference between you selling real estate and not selling real estate. And so I want to go through what we call the story model today. And I want to go through the story model, leveraging everything that's going on in the market so you guys can understand how this model works and how you can apply it to your life. So I'm going to share my screen. One second here. Here we go. All right. Can you guys see that? All right. So I'm going to walk through this with everything that's currently going on. So the Iran conflict, everything going on in the Middle East, oil prices, interestingly enough, the 10-year treasury actually went up a little bit today, which, normally in situations like this, the treasury goes down because it's a safe harbor traditionally for money. So, which directly impacts interest rates for mortgages. So, all right. So something happens. So what's the thing that happened? Right? The thing that happened is there's a conflict, there's a global reaction, there's volatility, there's potential for inflation due to oil prices, there's potential for interest rates going up, there's all kinds of potential, right? So that's what we're currently dealing with. And if you're on social media, then not only are you dealing with it, but you're bathing in it, right? You're just consuming it, and the information keeps coming. So here's the thing. We all get to choose a reaction. Sorry, we all get to have a reaction, and that part is not our choice. So I said that wrong earlier. Like, our initial reaction is not our choice. But we then can have a thought beyond that. We can have a thought beyond that initial reaction. So the Iraq reaction right now, guys, what would it might be? Like, hearing everything that's going on in the market. You sell real estate for a living. That could potentially have an impact on selling real estate. What's a reaction that you think people could be having right now? What's an emotional reaction?
Fear.
Fear. Okay. So fear. And the fear is from what? From what does fear lead you down? Was that Marissa?
That was Brittany.
Oh, it's Brittany. Okay. Brittany, fear.
Fear, it could lead you to doubting yourself, like worry, like unnecessary worry, extra worry, like
Okay.
a little spiral that way, just
Okay.
of the unknown.
Okay. So fear, worry of the unknown. What judgment does fear and worry force you to potentially have
I don't
in your
know.
business?
I think
think
you
it,
start judging that everything's going to start going bad.
Okay. So everything's going to start going bad, which will have a negative impact on your business. Is that fair?
I think we shelter in place.
Okay. Shelter in place. Okay. So then we start to tell ourselves a story. So we're leading with fear and anxiety. We form a judgment, shelter in place. We form a judgment that everything's going to go bad. What story do we start telling ourselves as it pertains to real estate
Nothing's
being
selling.
your
Nobody's going to
business?
buy real estate.
Nobody's going to buy. Interest rates
Need to
might
find
go up.
stability.
Yeah, with volatility, people are going to question their decisions. They're going to back out. Okay. So here's the thing. Is that true?
No.
Well, actually, it is. It is true.
Well,
That is true.
yes.
There's other things that can also be true at the same time, right? Are there people out there that are going to back off, that are going to use this volatility as a reason not to do something in real estate? That is true,
Yes.
right?
But they also might use it as a reason to do something.
I love it. We're going to go there in just a second, David. So, wrong way. So then we start to gather evidence, right? So we say people aren't going to buy right now. People are going to withdraw. Well, our brain, so we talked about the reticular activator system last week. Our brain is a filter. We're choosing worry and concern. We're choosing, hey, we need to shelter in place. We're choosing people aren't going to want to buy or sell in this. We're choosing that story. We're basically telling our brain's filtering system what's important to us. So opportunities could be presenting themselves throughout the day, but the only thing that's going to stand out is the person that says, yeah, I'm holding off, man. Did you guys see the market? I'm done. I'm holding off. I'm not going to buy. Those are the things that your brain is going to say, oh, see, I told you people aren't doing anything in this market, because that's the filter that you've decided is important. Well, here's the challenge with that. When you gather evidence that supports that filter that you've decided is important, you actually predict your future. These are the people in our real estate industry. When things go bad, they get out. When things go bad, their business goes down. Now, let's back up. And let's say, well, actually, let me do this before I back up. So we're going to pause, and you pause somewhere between the reaction and the judgment, or just after the judgment. We pause. Okay. So let me ask you guys a question. Is it true that people might not buy or sell in this with everything going on in the world? Yes. Okay. But is it 100% true? The answer is no. And then a follow-up question is there someone out there that's going to find success in the current volatile market? Do you think it's possible that there's someone out there that's going to find success? I can't see you guys, so I might need you to audibly tell me what's going on.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So what else could be true then? What else could be true in this volatile market inside of real estate that we get to choose?
That there could be positives.
Okay. What does that mean?
You could maybe even find more buyers than you normally would.
Okay. So here's what could be true. Agents are choosing to shelter in place, therefore more opportunities will present themselves to me. There's always the D's that everybody talks about, right? There's death, divorce, diapers, diamonds. Like there are things that cause homes to still sell. So do you think that those things are still going to happen regardless of volatility?
Yep.
Yes, for sure.
Okay. So how would I show up if I chose those things as being the truth? How would you show up if you chose those things as the truth? Would you show up scared and full of anxiety, or
I'd show up to win.
you'd show up to win? Tell me more.
Well, those things are going to happen regardless of what's going on. And so if I can show up every day, like, hey, I'm going to win my day and make my calls and get leads and buyers and sellers, like I'm winning the day no matter what the outside world's doing. I can control my world. I can't control what's going on in the whole entire world.
All right. So let me ask you a question, Kyle. Assuming you went from being fearful and full of anxiety to saying through this process, you know what? I can win. What impact would that have on you and your business?
Oh, I'd show up 100% every day instead of showing up 50%. Instead of being sheltered, I'm going to be out there in the face of everybody.
Love it. And then who in your world would that impact?
It would impact myself and impact the people I'm helping.
Okay, perfect. Do you guys see the difference here? Do you guys see what's happening through this story model? Let me hit stop share. Where's it at? There we go. So here's the thing. It happened during COVID. It happened during when the rates went up from 3.25% to 7.5%. Let me ask you a question. When rates went up to 7.5%, were homes still being sold and purchased? Okay, so the point of the story model, guys, is to understand that we cannot control the circumstances around us. We cannot choose the circumstances that happen around us. What we can choose is how we react and the judgments that we form through those circumstances and the stories that we choose to tell. Because the fact of the matter is in every situation that's ever happened, the Great Depression in the 1930s, there were people that weren't homeless. There were people that went from being homeless to being successful. There were people that found ways to succeed. The same goes for the 2008 market crash. I know a ton of people that made a ton of money and found a ton of opportunities, and they saw it as an opportunity. And so that's the evidence that they gathered in the business that they built. So this is the same. This is like that. So what are you guys hearing? Who has some thoughts around this, and even some tricks or some mindset stuff that you apply when stuff like this happens?
I think for me, the biggest thing that comes to my mind is like how quickly or where and how do I need to pivot my business to be in front of what might be coming up.
Okay. So
Because when
give
the
me
interest
an
rates started
example.
climbing, I definitely waited too long. We were just like, oh, it's just gonna pass. You know, remember when they climbed from like 2% to 4 to 5, and everyone just thought it was gonna be a bubble, it was gonna come back down. And I waited too long. Like I was highly first time home buyer heavy. And once rates go up to 5%, that market kind of disappears, right? So as things start to destabilize, like where and how do I put myself in front of the people that can seize opportunity in maybe potential recession or whatever this global stage might have as an impact for us.
I absolutely love that, because it's kind of the thing that we don't talk about when we talk about the story model, is that consumer perception, consumer behaviors do change. They do change as a whole when things happen, when things get volatile. Now, that doesn't change the fact that people are still going to transact. And so you have to be strategic and say, what people are going to buy or sell. That is true. Great. Now, who are the people that are going to buy and sell? And then that's the story I need to form in my mind. And that's the evidence I need to go out and look for. That's the opportunities that I need to go take advantage of. So that's a great example, because when rates went up, first time home buyers did what? They withdrew. They like slowly and slower stopped becoming a really dominant piece of the market. Now, were there first time home buyers still buying and selling, or still buying? Yes. But that number dwindled. So if you would have acted faster, what would that have done for your business, Teresa?
I would have had a much steadier year the year following. Like I had a killer year, and there was probably out of 28 deals, I think like 20 of them were first time home buyers that, I mean, anyone could buy a house at 2% interest rate. And then, you know, putting myself in situations where, I mean, I prided myself on helping the people that didn't think they could ever buy a house. And then that started to get harder and harder and harder for people with tighter incomes. So yeah, I feel like I could have pivoted sooner and positioned myself in front of people with maybe more higher paying jobs, or I don't know.
I mean, you do know.
What
You're saying it. Go ahead, David.
for me, it's like, you talk about market volatility, and it makes me think like, okay, there's going to be people that have money in the market that want to take it out and put it in somewhere more stable.
Okay.
So like that creates an opportunity for, people who are, asset heavy in stocks.
Okay. Where do you think they are going to want to put their money?
Possibly in real estate.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is I learned this saying from actually it was from Chase. Uh, I've always known it, but he says it in a way that just kind of like illustrates it. But um, in times of inflation, right, or times of volatility, so both of those moments, money moves to assets. It always flows towards assets. And so that's why you see, like, when, for instance, in the inflation, the hyperinflation that we just experienced in, 22, 23, is you saw, the price of cheese go up, but you also saw the price of houses go up. You also saw the price of, uh, you know, silver and gold and other assets increase. And when you own those assets, you then take on the increase. And so I don't disagree with you, David. I think real estate is a place where people put their money. And so how can you capitalize on that? That's the question. Awesome. Who else?
I'm going to add something here.
Yeah, go ahead.
The United States turns 250 years old on July of this year. Do you know about how many years combined has the US not been in a war or military conflict? Anywhere between 15 to 20 years. So out of the other 225 years, people have still bought homes.
Ooh, dang, dude. Spitting knowledge. So, that's where knowing that kind of stuff can benefit you, I guess. But the reality is people buy and sell in all markets. They bought and sold in 2008. They're going to buy and sell in this market. And like Teresa said, you have to understand that they are buying and selling. You may just have to locate who they are, what type of buyer or seller is operating inside of this market, and think about where you're moving your business and how you're gonna attack that. By the way, the people that aren't thinking about that, the people that are scared and full of anxiety and withdrawing and sheltering in place, they are an opportunity, because who they normally would be working with still needs someone to work with. So I think this is in moments like this, a large portion of the agent population gets pushed into a corner and almost like excluded from the market, which just opens up when they say less people are going to be buying and selling right now, that is true. But less people are going to be selling real estate as a profession as well. So the per capita, the available opportunity remains high for those that stay in the game. Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Alex. Hey, I want to go over a couple things with you guys real quick before I let you off. We have our what we call our momentum modules launching next week. So number 1 is launching next week. And then we're going to have one module per month. So every month we're going to have one of these. I'm going to share what they are so you guys can see and know what to expect. And then, if you're listening to this on YouTube Live, join us next Monday for the start of it. If you are listening to the recording and you weren't able to get on this Zoom, figure out how to get on the Zoom so you can be here for next week. We're going to be sure and send out more instruction to everybody to help you guys get on the Zoom next week. But let me share my screen. All right, so this is the monthly series that you're going to see. So resolution to reality, that's going to be obviously in January. So that's a whole week of how to actually turn your goals and your resolutions into a concrete item inside of your life. Then we move into mindset mastery. Then we move into $1 Million Database. And these are just the database secrets on how to build, manage, and execute on a database to have it produce up to a 15% return on your database. And then this is what we're seeing. This is what you guys are going to see in March. So we've got lead gen prospecting for sellers. That's what's starting next week. I'll tell you what that is here in a second. And then we're going to move into April from set to sold listing process. So that's from setting the appointment all the way to sold and beyond, the whole seller process. Then we're going to do lead gen prospecting for buyers. And then we're going to do the entire set to sold for the buyer process, because it does look quite a bit different than the sold process. Then we're going to go into Fearless. And this is a program that just instills sales skills into your business and into how you operate. Then we're going to have a tech week. Then we're going to have, come October, you're going to see our annual advanced planning. This is where for a week, we're going to work with you to build out your next year's business plan. Then we're going to roll into the 6-figure blueprint. The 6-figure blueprint is just a basic blueprint on how to operate your business and get and maintain a 6-figure business. And then we're going to roll into a social media blueprint, how to operate on social media and turn it into a lead generation activity. So just to give you an example of what lead gen prospecting for sellers looks like, Monday, we're going to talk about the 5 reasons to become a listing agent. So how being a listing agent is the most valuable role you can play in real estate. Protecting your income using programs. So we're going to talk to you about programs and how to use programs to differentiate yourself in the market. ways to find sellers in your database. Then we're going to talk about expireds, and then we're going to talk about FSBOs and open houses, how to leverage other people's listings to turn them into seller opportunities. So that's what we have coming up next week. So guys, thank you so much for your time. It's 9:31. We will see you tomorrow morning, and definitely be on next week for our lead gen prospecting for sellers. Take care.